Young Jazz, this isn't the first time he's been accused of this, right?
No, I believe the first time he was accused was in like 2003. And then I know also Mystikal served like 6 years in prison already. And then there was another altercation that also happened in 2017. So this is the third thing that has happened to him regarding all that.
Very few. I was a huge fan of Mystikal. I haven't seen this video yet, but I've watched, interviews and seen things that they've been discussing here and there about his career and what he's been doing lately and everything. I know for a fact a lot of this is going to change my opinion of him, but yeah, his music was off the chain back in the day.
Stories are as turbulent as that of famous rapper Mystikal. It is a story about a man who managed to overcome the odds to become the hero in his own tale. However, owing to his mistakes and choices, he became the bad guy. Also, with the trial and imminent sentence awaiting Mystikal, it just might be goodbye forever. Talk about success and tragedy, rise and fall. This story has it all. So stay with us as we take a look at the life of the famous rapper Mystikal. Mystikal's previous crimes. On June 26, 2000.
Why does this man insist on calling him Mystikal? We all know it's mystical. I mean, come on now.
2003, Mystikal found himself entangled in a legal ordeal that would significantly alter the course of his life. The Grammy-nominated rapper pleaded guilty to charges of sexual battery and extortion, marking a distressing chapter in his career. This was, however, not his first brush with the law. Mystikal had previously been arrested in 1998 for drug possession and gun possession. Although he served no time for the charges, they were a stain on his record that would not wash out. The incident unfolded with the victim, his hairstylist, accusing Mystikal, age 33 at the time, along with his two bodyguards, of forcing her to engage in oral sex. The motive behind this distressing episode was rooted in an accusation that she had stolen $80,000 worth of Mystikal's checks, an accusation vehemently denied by the victim. Initially, Mystikal contended that the encounter was consensual, but the discovery of a videotape at his residence, shortly after the charges were brought forth, shifted the narrative. Negotiations during the trial initially prevented the videotape from being entered as evidence, and Mystikal opted for a plea bargain offered by the prosecution. The culmination.
All right. I never knew that I knew that there was a tape, but I never knew it wasn't allowed into evidence. Why is that? What on that tape said that it shouldn't have been evidence? I'm not victim blaming in no kind of way. I just know the scenario that he put out there. He said she stole his money, and in his mind, for whatever reason it was, his way of thinking was, this is how you'll pay me back. Me, you, and my homeboys, finna get down, which definitely ain't right in no kind of way, shape, or form. But what he said kind of made sense to me for some reason.
Of this legal saga occurred on January 15, 2004, when Mystikal faced sentencing for the charges he had admitted to. He received a substantial 6-year sentence in state prison after pleading guilty to sexually assaulting his hairstylist. The presiding judge, after viewing the videotape, took into account Mystikal's 2 prior arrests, one for drug possession and another for gun possession. The 2 bodyguards involved in the incident also pleaded guilty to sexual battery. Leland Pokey Ellis, age 37, received a 3-year prison term, while Versi V. Carter, age 35, was sentenced to 4 years. The courtroom, presided over by Judge Tony Marabella, witnessed the sentencing, and Mystikal, having pleaded guilty to sexual battery, was escorted away in handcuffs. Judge Marabella expressed his conviction that Mystikal exhibited a belief in being above the law and capable of meting out justice independently. This sentiment played a pivotal role in determining the severity of the sentence. In addition to the sexual battery charges, Mystikal also pleaded guilty to extortion, a count for which he received a 5-year probationary period. The legal repercussions extended to financial compensation as well. Court records revealed that Mystikal had paid the victim a sum of $350,000, with $300,000 of it borrowed from his record label. A letter in the court record suggested that this monetary restitution, along with Mystikal's guilty plea, were part of his efforts to make amends for the distress caused to all parties involved. All of this was a sharp contrast to his recognition for his contributions to the music industry. This is evident in the fact that his album, Tarantula, which had earned a nomination for Best Rap Album at the Grammy Awards in 2003 didn't make waves as it should due to the serious legal implications stemming from the sexual battery case. 2005, federal misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns for 1998 and 1999. In August 2005, Mystikal faced additional legal challenges while serving time for the state sexual battery and extortion charges earlier mentioned. During his incarceration, he was federally charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns for 1998 and 1999. This led to a subsequent federal court proceeding on January 12, 2006, where he was convicted of these tax offenses. Despite the conviction, Mystikal was granted the concession to serve his 1-year federal sentence concurrently with his ongoing 6-year state sentence. His time behind bars during this period occurred at Louisiana's Elaine Hunt Correctional Center, continuing through the legal hurdle.
Okay, so for that, the problems that he had with the IRS, I'm not sure that I understand how it works. Do they get locked up and they do their time, and then when they get out, they don't have to pay it back? Because I know for a fact, before he went out, before he got locked up, he was at the top, at the height of his career. So once he gets out, he might not be able to financially recoup the money that he owed because he's locked up. So do they cancel the money or do they lower it because of the time you did? How does that work? Because I know once he got out, he was nowhere near as popular as he was. He didn't have an opportunity to make that kind of money. So I don't know.
Mystikal encountered disappointment on January 19, 2006, as he was denied parole. So even though he had completed the 1-year federal sentence for tax offenses, he remained in custody to fulfill the 6-year sentence for the Louisiana state convictions. This development led to confusion among fans who erroneously believed he had been released on parole. Fast forward to January 14, 2010, Mystikal's extended period of incarceration came to an end with his release from custody. Unfortunately, his re-entry into society was marked by the burden of being registered as a sex offender, which presented an ongoing legal and societal challenges in the aftermath of his prison term.
And it should. Anytime you do something like that, that should follow you around for the rest of your life. I don't think there's certain crimes that you should be able to wiggle your way out of. If there's something that has to do with a child or some type of sexual crime or anything, that should follow you.
Earlier, Master P had warned the young rappers on his label about avoiding trouble. He tried to tell us, but we were arrogant punks. Can't tell us nothing, Mystikal said. When I saw him, I had to tell him. I wish I had listened to some of what you told me, because it could have avoided me 6 years of agony. While anyone...
And a lot of us will have that positive person in our lives, but you're young and dumb and you don't realize what they're telling you is good. You're just like, man, get on out of here with that, weak stuff or whatever. Yeah, but he had somebody who was actually telling him there's a better way to live. And he surrounded himself with yes men that were okay with whatever he did, rather than put himself in a position where he had some positive influences around him that he could actually look up to and respect.
Would have thought Mystikal would have learned his lessons from his ordeal and steered clear of having any more trouble with the law. Well, this was not the case. On February 22, 2012, Mystikal faced another legal setback when he was arrested following a dispute with his domestic partner, resulting in a misdemeanor charge of domestic abuse battery. After spending 9 days in detention, he was released on bail. However, his legal troubles continued, and on April 16th of the same year, Mystikal received a 3-month jail sentence for violating the terms of his probation, which had been imposed after his release from prison in January 2010. Taking into account the 9 days he had already served, his actual confinement amounted to 81 days. Commencing his sentence on May 14th, Mystikal was incarcerated at the East Baton Rouge Parish Jail. During his time behind bars, he appeared in court not only to address the domestic battery charges, but also for a hearing related to determining child support payments for his 2 youngest children. Once again,
All right, we're gonna stop right there. There will be a part 2. So if you like what you see, come on back. This is Opinionated 3000, and I am Mr. Opinionated.
Mystikal's release from jail occurred in August 2012, providing